Well, last year we spoke with Meet Magic as it launched to help connect executives and startups together, which all helped charities across Australia as well. The company is now getting ready for 2022, and to take us through it, we're joined by founder Gough. Carl, just very quickly, for those that might not have caught our segment last year, what do you guys do at Meet Magic?
Well, nice to meet you and Happy New Year, by the way. We are a platform for leaders, for executives and decision makers, so they can meet and solve business problems and support charity at the same time. That's the short of it.
I love it. That was a perfect elevator pitch. It's the perfect length, of course. We did go into plenty of detail, which we'll discuss now, but I guess 2022, as you said, Happy New Year. You've got big plans.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we're on the road at the moment to ramping up to 10,000 executives. We've currently got about 1,000 executives in 4 countries that are giving us their support, and it's quite amazing in Singapore, New Zealand, the UK, and Australia. And the whole point of this is that we've interviewed a whole load of these execs, and they've told us that they want to just escape the noise of all the emails and the social media platforms out there, but they want to be able to meet people who can help them solve their business problems. And that's exactly what we're doing. So the big 2020 push this year is to 10,000 execs. And the whole big goal for us is $250 million. And we can do that by having 10 cities around the world doing 1,000 meetings every month.
And of course, that money, you do have that charity angle for it. Just explain that a bit more in further depth.
Well, we have a subscription model, so our clients are the big tech companies. So it's literally, I think there's about 70 or so global tech companies that are on our books at the moment, and they bring their marketing dollars to us. Now, as you know, I'm from Nottingham, which is where Robin Hood comes from, and we always know what to do with other people's money. So all we're doing is repurposing those marketing dollars. So when a new client comes to us or a client comes to us, they subscribe to our platform, and they then select how many meetings they want to buy. And each meeting has a cost associated with it, and we donate 70% of that cost of that meeting to the charity. But so far, we've given since we last spoke, I think we were at $300,000, I think, when we last spoke. We've now tipped over the $1 million mark, and we've helped somewhere around 22,000 seriously ill kids. So our primary charity at the moment was Starlight, and we've just taken on board Camp Quality. We've got Cure Kids in New Zealand, and Starlight in the UK, and Club Rainbow in Singapore.
That's pretty impressive to go, it wasn't actually that long ago that we did speak. So to have that sort of, $500,000 plus growth is pretty incredible.
Yeah, well, look, I think I'm looking at the first half numbers already, and they're already up on last year, which is really quite amazing. But I think what's really happened here is that COVID's really brought us together to help each other. And I think on balance, we've all come out of that stronger. How much of this virtual world sticks around is yet to be, we don't know what's permanent and what's not, but we do know that this hybrid model is going to stick around forever. People are always going to be virtually selling. They're always going to be virtually meeting from now on. And so we're taking advantage of that. And I think we've really become COVID native. And we really kickstarted at the end of 2019 when the whole fires started, and of course the droughts and then COVID kicked in, and we've really ramped up since then. So we're really gearing up this year to put all the systems in place. I think when you look at it, you've got the first year, you've got this process that you go through where you have this idea, and you come up with an idea and you try and get it off the ground. Basically, that's a planning sort of phase, and then you have this product phase where you try and design something that clients like. We've been very lucky that we've designed something that all of our clients like. We've never lost a customer yet, which is really quite remarkable. We have 100% client retention ratio, which blows my mind every time. But we're now in this phase of growing and scaling. And that's where you've got to look at things like the processes. So we're looking at, from that $500,000 to $2 million revenue mark, that's where we're now in. And, we think we can take this and double this over the next year or so, and really make a solid impact on charities. Of course, the whole reason for Meet Magic is to help charities get funded, and we're doing that through very simple business meetings and helping executives at the same time.
Well, you did bring up COVID, so we better discuss it. What sort of, obviously we're experiencing it right now. We're doing this virtually. Omicron is surging, so people are sort of going back to their virtual world, and it just seems it's going to be a tap that we keep switching on and off between virtual and meetings. How are you guys best preparing for that at Meet Magic? Is it a case of, we've even got the metaverse, which is growing even still? Is there, playing in that space, or what are you guys doing?
Well, I think we're absolutely playing into that space. I think when you look at Web3 and where that's going, we've got this creator economy which is growing. We think there's absolutely a play for what we're doing with the virtual meetings. So we're obviously working towards some projects which are a little bit underground at the moment, but we've got developers that are working through this brand new thing that we're creating, which we can't really talk about. But it's not changing. It's not going anywhere. That's the thing to remember. I think, building trust and building deeper engagement is really key here. And I think that we're now seeing it's a buyer's first world versus rather than a seller's first world. And I think that buyer's first approach is all built around trust. And so we're preparing for the metaverse in that sort of way by building whole lot of trust into the meetings that we're doing.
I think that will certainly be the quest, and I think that's where Facebook might sort of fall on its face a bit, because it has lost that element of trust amongst the consumer for, various different reasons. So it will come down to trust, particularly when you are talking the executive level, and, these are startup founders who are wanting to, I guess, entrust an executive with their business.
Well, I think the thing to also remember is that, these executives are working half the time from home. So the actual buyers have moved. So how are you going to talk to them? They're at home now. So you have to be respectful of their time while they're at home. You can't just walk in. And we actually advocate there are no selling in our meetings. So we teach our clients you must go in and approach these meetings in a very, very different way. You can't walk into this meeting and start pitching PowerPoint or opening up your demo, because nobody cares about your data lake. And so it's really important to go and have a conversation and build a connection and have a conversation around what problems you can solve. And we're seeing so many results coming out of that. We're seeing 7-figure deals that are getting done because of that. Partnerships are being formed because of that. And we're also having executives coming to us now asking us if we've got any clients that can help them solve their AI problem or help them solve a customer experience or a cybersecurity problem. So we're starting to see, we had that product to market fit happening on the client side, the people that want to pay for the meetings, but now it's starting to happen the other way around now, which is really quite exciting. And I think it's the world that we live in. There are too many emails, there's too much noise, there's too much junk in your inbox, our emails are overflowing. So there needs to be a quiet place, an escape, where you can go and you can solve business problems quietly, but at the same time do some good. And that's exactly what we're creating. And the feedback that we've got so far is amazing from both sides of the marketplace.
I certainly feel that after coming back from a 2-week holiday, there is plenty of noise and junk out there in the old inbox, which I'm sure many of the executives are used to as well. What sort of feedback are you getting at that level? As you said, some of them are now coming to you to find the solutions to their problems, but is there anything that they're telling you about, some of the startups that they do approach or that they are approached by, and is there lessons to be learnt there?
I think we've gone through this whole cycle from these conferences and these roundtables, and I hate to say it, but it's probably inappropriate, but I call them snouts in the trough. It's people just coming together and eating, and these are like the 1980s, 1990s way of doing business, and it's for some it works, for some it doesn't. It's hit and miss. It's costly. It's expensive. So what we've done, if you think about the traditional sales approach, you've got a whole lot of money being spent in the run up to trying to find a meeting, whether it's an SDR sitting on a bum making cold calls, or whether it's outbound marketing, activity-based marketing, and cost of salaries. That whole cost, we say, forget all of that. Just go and have your meeting. And the outcomes of these meetings are, because they've got an altruistic-based approach to them, the outcomes are so much better on all levels. And so we're seeing the results, from executives. They say things like, the meeting was perfectly targeted because it was curated. So an example would be that we had excuse me, by the way, I've got COVID. We had a lady in New Zealand who's a CIO they've been on the acquisition trail, and they've acquired 5 or 6 different companies, and there's 4 or 5 different software services, in each different of those companies. And she wanted to integrate them all and bring them all together, but she didn't know how to do it. And so she's come to us and says, do you have any clients that can help us solve that problem? It was literally just one connection, and they've gone on and solved that problem and done that and had some business together. So, in essence, when you think about that, we're lowering the cost of sale, but we're shortening the actual the path to revenue, which is really important. But for the executives, they're getting to solve these problems in a much quicker, much easier way than before. The conferences, too noisy. If you watch the executives when they walk around the booths at the conferences, they avoid it like the plague because they're just going to get targeted. It's a little bit like an executive putting something on LinkedIn that they want to buy. They want to buy a new system. They'll be overwhelmed and flooded with people trying to talk to them. And of course, as you know, today automation has killed everything because you can now find somebody's email address. You can find everything about them, their personal phone number, their private email, their work email, and they get spammed and they get stalked because of that. So we're creating a place that's away from all of that, where they can come and just be safe in the knowledge that they can solve a problem. So the feedback's been really, really positive. And most of the executives, there's about 1,000 of them on board at the moment, and we've never had any negative feedback. And we're talking CEOs of banks. Steve Jerkovich, the CEO of Kiwi Bank in New Zealand, he came on LinkedIn Live with me and told the market how good these meetings were for him, and that was really pleasing to hear.
That's certainly fantastic here, and you can even see at the CES conference is going on in Vegas. We've just finished, and the queues there were nowhere near they've been. So they have lost that shine as people look to cut through the noise. But Carl, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll certainly track you on down the line.
Pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.